What's going on, guys? Happy Friday. Welcome to our second ever student spotlight on this Friday. We got Robert McClung here with us. Super stoked for this interview. Robert has been hustling the last few months, doing rehabs and buying rental properties. So super excited to share his story with you guys. Robert and I have done a lot of coaching together. So we have I have a pretty good understanding of what he's been going through, but I know sharing it with you guys should hopefully be a pretty awesome inspiration and be something that you guys can learn from. So, Robert, without further ado, man, welcome. Thank you very much for taking the time and jumping on the call here with us today. If you don't mind, just kind of starting off, like share a little bit about your backgrounds, what you do full time, and kind of how you wound up here.
Yeah, well, thanks, John, for having me. I appreciate that. So what do I do full time? Well, I mean, I'm a father, right?
There you go. Yeah, absolutely.
And an entrepreneur. So I definitely, that's first. And thank God I've been able to be self-employed and be an entrepreneur in that to allow some time freedom for myself. I do mortgage. So I have my own branch with eMortgage, and I'm also a clean energy consultant for solar. Have my own
Nice.
company. And now I'm just doing it independently through Power, which is actually down in your area, John, in Carlsbad.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, I didn't. That's actually I learned something today. I didn't know you did like solar and had that company. That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I've been in real estate and mortgage for 13 years, and it just when things slowed down a couple of years ago with mortgage, it was just an easy fit to talk to homeowners and always like helping people, and it was an
Yeah,
easy fit for me to really do that, and it just kind of made sense here.
I love it, man. That's awesome. And you live in Southern California, correct?
Yep, I'm in Orange County.
Awesome. So we all know that housing prices and rental prices and everything in Southern California is brutally expensive, right?
Yeah.
Your average property price in America gets you a paved driveway here in Southern California. So it makes it hard to invest here. But tell us about your first deal. What kind of, walk us through this progression because you went through your first deal and then you started doing more and more and then fix and flips. Kind of take us through that progression. How'd you find it? How'd you fund it? Tell us the story, man.
Yeah, so it was about 4 months after joining RPP, and really just going through all the training and everything,
Yep.
and conversations with you and Tim and Nate. So my first deal was actually I think it was a referral from Nate that I had got,
Okay.
and I had reached out. I think you might have connected us, and it was just about where I wanted to be, and I kind of wanted to be in Memphis. Obviously, you gave me some good referrals and connections there and boots on the ground. So
Hmm.
I had some conversations with them and some people, and they all seemed very solid and seemed like they were good staples in the market for a long time with good feedback. So it was my first deal was a referral from Nate, and I just used the analyzer spreadsheet that you guys provide. Did my due diligence and had common sense with the numbers with my
Hmm.
background. So the deal made sense. I was walking into, I should be like, 15, 20% of equity. And it was cash flowing. My first one was kind of near Cooper Young area in Memphis. Um,
Yep.
and it was more of an equity play than a cash flow. But yeah, that's what was my first deal. And I used private money.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, how did you fund it? Tell us the story about that, because obviously, that's a whole new experience for most everybody on this call. So, like, talk through that with us.
Yeah, so I used private money. And it wasn't one of my people. It was actually a referral from Robert Field I got.
Nice.
And it's already got capital, Eric Linderman. And so decent, I think it was like 11.5%, a couple points,
Yeah.
standard stuff. But what I was able to do was get a huge credit. I think it was almost about $10,000 to $12,000 seller credit
Wow.
to cover all my closing costs and my points. So I was able to purchase my first one and my third rental, both properties, by adjusting the loan just slightly, the purchase price and getting a seller credit, where I was able to roll in all my closing costs. So I literally bought two properties with zero money out of my pocket.
That's awesome, man. And like, one thing to note, as well, like, first and foremost is, this whole sense of like we can't fund, a property with private money and we can't get it 100% funded. I mean, obviously you were able to do that, but also, these were correct me if I'm wrong, but both of these properties were on the MLS, right? It sounded like they were actively listed properties, right?
Um, both, no, one was listed and one wasn't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Cool. So we got one off the MLS and then one was an off-market deal, right?
Yeah, correct.
Awesome, man. And then you just used a local private money lender, it sounds like, in the Memphis area to get them funded. And then ultimately you got those seller credits to help pay for any of the closing costs, right?
Yeah, so I used one local, and then the other one I used is a friend of mine that I have
Nice.
who retired. He made a killing during COVID doing medical testing.
Yeah.
And I pitched him, what I was doing, and he has some friends and family in Memphis. So he liked the returns, and I used him for the other one.
Now, that's awesome. Let's go off topic for 1 second
Sure.
because I know the next question that everyone's asking is like, Robert, how did you open up that conversation with him as, a friend and now a private money lender? Like, because everyone's, it's still for a lot of people, it's taboo to talk about money, right? And everybody feels like, I'm asking a favor of someone when really you're offering them an opportunity. But kind of share like what your mindset was and how you went into that really.
Yeah, yeah. Mindset's huge, right? So it's kind of like what you said. You nailed it on the head right there. It's an opportunity. And being in finance and my background, like I know what people make. I mean, I know where the returns are,
Yeah.
and just having a conversation, over lunch and having a beer, honestly, and it was like, hey,
Nice.
what are you doing now? Like, I know you killed it during this time during COVID. Where's your money and what are you doing with it? And then we had a conversation. I said, well, okay, so you're lucky if you're making 5 to 6%. I'm like, you anything aggressive, crypto portfolio? Like, how's it doing?
Yeah. Yep.
He's like, yeah, I think CD. I'm playing it safe. I got 5%. So I just said, well, would you be opposed to making 10 to 12% if it's secured to real estate? And I just shut up. And he's just like
Yeah.
leaned over to me. He's like, well, what do you mean? So,
How do you
I
do
just kind of
that?
let it go that way. And I said, well, I'm working and doing real estate investments and working with a group of investors. And, we use private money and everybody pays 10 to 14%, a couple points. And it's tied to real estate and it's secured. And, usually you're getting your money back within 3 to 9 months.
I love that. I love that. And obviously, he found that super attractive, attractive enough to lend you money. And
Yeah.
you know, and guys, like, don't be afraid to feed the ego too, right? Robert started off like, "Hey, man, I know you've done really well, right?" We're feeding the ego, and
I,
at the end of the day, like, I don't know if you guys have heard this, but in my circle of friends, right? Like the goal is always to be the bank. Like you've made it when you become the bank, right? And I always share that with my newest private money lenders. I'm always like, hey, if you've ever heard the saying, the goal in life is to become the bank. Because once you become the bank, you've made it. Because the bank never loses, just like the house never loses, right? And that's what I'm asking you to be. And it's okay to feed that ego as long as you're getting funding for your properties. So I love that, man. That's awesome. Good
and it's
stuff. And
the ego, right? And you guys in your training too, it's like go to the people and say, hey, I really respect your, what you
yeah.
do and your success. And like, just would you mind overlooking this or what do you think about this? And just, pique that interest.
Yep. I love that. I love that. Well, good stuff, man. Thanks for sharing. And, obviously you've been a busy guy. You've been putting a lot of time, effort, focus, energy into doing this and growing this. Like, how much time are you spending weekly on whether it's kind of working on and managing the properties that you have going on now or trying to go and find new ones? Kind of fill us in on that.
Yeah. So, I mean, when I started out, I was only maybe doing about 15, 20 hours a week in the evenings or early mornings, just kind of figuring out my schedule. Um,
So you were devoting a lot of time to it, sounds like.
yeah, I mean, there's a lot to learn, right? I mean, and with
Yeah.
my background, like I've always been on the retail side or, I've had land and primary homes and stuff like that, but not on the investment side. And I know mortgage and I know loans. I just never had really dove into or dealt with the private or hard money side.
Yeah, yeah,
So
that's fair.
I kind of just dove into that and tried to really wrap my head around that and figure it out that. But yeah, as I started spending more time, analyzing deals and networking, it's been a little bit less with how much I'm busy I've been with my mortgage business, but
Yeah.
particularly, just it's good because I'm helping investors and clients and self-employed people, and it all ties in with my investing journey.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That's great. Cool. So putting in some good time, and what's been the result of that? Like, kind of share with everyone what you've been able to accomplish, rehabs, rental properties, like what's that produced for you?
Um, yeah, so from November till February, I got my three properties. So two rentals, and I have one fix and flip that I started in December, and it's just about to list next week. Um, so I mean, it's a 3,500 square foot home in
Big house.
Midtown in Memphis. We purchased it for 290, and I think we're about 105 into it with the rehab. So I'm kind of doing the higher end stuff.
Yep.
Um, and super happy with the way everything's come out. Would have liked it to have been under 120 days, but we're over. And, I think kind of comes back into the time with the size of the house, right?
Oh,
Uh,
for sure.
and the age
If
of the house, too. So, you know, the older you go, like when you start getting into it, I mean, some old houses can go smoothly or they can open up a lot of demons.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I remember when you showed me that property, I was like, "Whew, this is a big project," but you were full steam ahead. And if you would have gotten that thing done in 120 days, on the nose, which you've come pretty close to, all things considered, like that would have been impressive. I mean, that's a huge project for that amount of time, especially for the rehab budget as well, too. That's quick. You've done great. Now, you know, three properties, in the first couple months, which is awesome. We've all had challenges along the way. There's no real estate investor, whether how well coached or, how well mentored, is not going to run into, some hiccups or some roadblocks or challenges along the way. Like based on your experience at this point, like, what advice would you give to a new investor to kind of help overcome maybe some of those roadblocks or maybe things that you wish you knew going into that?
Yeah, it's a good question, John. Advice, one or two things for advice, I guess. First, I just tell myself and go back or to anybody to, really research and understand markets and
Okay.
to really, maybe focus on one that's closer to home. I think that would make things a bit smoother starting out.
Yep.
Especially if you have to travel there, if it's not something you can drive to, if you fly, short flights are cheaper and easier with everybody's, schedule and life. And second, my advice would really, just emphasize the power of networking.
Hmm.
I did a fair amount of
That's
that.
huge.
And looking back, even more connection building would have helped. Some of the best deals aren't listed, and they come through relationships,
Yep.
especially off market opportunities, with real value that haven't already been marked up.
Yeah.
There's a lot of great turnkey stuff and wholesale stuff, but I mean, but they all got their margins in there for their business and stuff like that. So, my advice is do more networking, and I think that will really help.
Yeah, man, I know, market researching and networking, right? We just talked about this on a group coaching call yesterday is, you only have a set, like two eyes, right? So that means you can only look at so many properties. The more connections you make, whether real estate agents, wholesalers, other investors, right? We want to have, two, three, 4 dozen sets of eyes, out there looking at properties for us so that we get to cherry pick the deals that come in the door and we're not just stuck to what we as people who potentially are working full-time jobs can look for or analyze. So 100% agree with that, man.
Yeah.
um you know if what's what would maybe be your piece of advice to someone who's like still kind of on the sidelines, like a little bit nervous about jumping in. They've never had they've never done their first deal. Like, what's one thing that kind of maybe kicked you over the edge that you were like, okay, I can do this. Like, what's that look like for you, man?
Um, I mean, I'd say just don't wait till everything feels perfect, you know?
Yep.
Most people feel that they have to have a ton of experience or money or the right timing to get started, including myself, in the beginning with that. I overanalyzed everything. But the truth is you learn by doing, and the
Yep.
best is through experience. Start small, stay coachable, surround yourself with a good network and the right people, obviously, as you guys already have, joining RPP. Use it and use the people in here. Reach out, make connections. I've tried to do that. I've tried to do that a lot. I've had a lot of great conversations with students and members in here. Uh,
Yeah.
Real estate can feel intimidating at first. Even with my experience in being, a licensed realtor and mortgage for 15 years, the investment side, it can be intimidating. Uh,
Yep.
and so just stay consistent and focused on your why, and everything will become more doable. You don't have to figure it all out, or just take the next step, trust the process, and just keep moving forward.
Yeah, man, that's so powerful, right? Done is better than perfect, right?
Yeah.
And if you wait till you have all of the information, you're never going to take action because the truth is you'll just never have all the information. And that why is such a huge motivator because when you really have a good why, then failure's not an option, right? And you're going to take action no matter what. Um, Cool, man. Can you give like maybe a specific challenge or roadblock that you ran into that some of the coaching or RPP was able to kind of help you get through or get over?
Um, let's see here. One of the biggest challenges.
Yeah, or any challenge. Doesn't have to be a challenge, just anything
Yeah.
that we were able to support you in and the team helped you with.
Yeah, I mean, you and Tim, you guys have been great, and the support's awesome. One of the biggest challenges figuring out, I guess, when I get started was, you know, not having a ton of savings in the beginning for myself.
Yep.
Using all my own money, and kind of diving back into that private money and hard money stuff. I
Yeah,
think in general that holds a lot of people back.
absolutely.
And the academy really opened my eyes to the creative financing strategies that
Love
made the
that.
process feel more doable, right?
Yeah.
And just getting comfortable, I guess, with the deal analysis. I wanted to be very confident in my numbers, and I'm good with numbers, but I still it was just new to me and analyzing and making sure all the values are there. And so I leaned on Tim a lot, man. I leaned on Tim so much. He was,
I lean on Tim a
it's
lot.
like,
Everybody leans on Tim.
I was booking him 2, 3 times a week sometimes, and on Saturdays. And at the point, I felt so bad, right? But he was great, and I actually gave him a discounted trip for him and his family for spending so much time with me. But that hands-on support between you and him, was huge in sharpening my skills and making me feel confident. Um, and I think that was the last thing is just the confidence was the thing.
Yeah.
The training really helped me, not to overthink every step, and using the academy shifted my mindset. I would say, like we've talked a few times in our one-on-ones and stuff. And that's just making the offer and then figuring out the
Yep.
financing if it gets accepted. It gets accepted. And everyone's like, "Oh, I only got 30 days," or the EMD.
Yep.
I've never put down $1 for EMD.
Isn't that crazy? Like that's nuts.
Everyone's
Everyone's
like,
like,
"No,
oh,
five
EMD.
thousand
You're like,
dollars, $10,000.
no.
Sorry, here's a cash offer for $0 EMD." Or
Yeah.
you know, so just trust the process and what these guys coach and teach because it really does work, man. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah. I mean, one thing that people don't realize is that literally everything's negotiable, right? A real estate agent or another investor might say, oh, well, this is standard. Well, I don't care what is standard. Here's
Yeah,
what I want, right? And that's how you have to approach it because, sometimes you might be in a situation where the standard doesn't work for you. Just like with the EMD, it's like I'm not putting an EMD down. I think if you looked at my average EMD over the last 5 years, it's probably been like 150 bucks, So it's
amazing.
yeah, it's you can totally negotiate any of that. And yeah, I always I love working with people who are already in the real estate realm, right? Because I feel like, you know, it's even more of like this whole mindset set shift for you guys because you've been doing mortgages for God only knows how long, right? And after all this time, there was still this huge like paradigm shift for creative financing and private money and all that stuff. And you're like, wow, there's a whole nother world out there to the industry that I've been in for 20 years, right? Which is so cool to see. And that just lends to all the success because you've been so coachable. You're like, this might not make sense, or I might not understand it, and I might not have all the information, but I'm going to go and do it with the hope and desire that it's all going to work out, and you guys are going to help and support me through the way, through the entire process. So, man, you've been awesome to work with, and fantastic, and I'm super excited for you to get this rehab on the market, get it sold. Obviously, we just had this conversation right before we left everybody on the call. You know, Robert's done a really good job at his buy prices on all of his rental properties, meaning there's pretty significant equity in the majority of them. So, we're excited to, we were talking, is it maybe worth actually selling them as well too, and just recapitalizing and then going out and buying more because there might be more opportunity there. But we'll leave that for another discussion and another interview. One other thing I wanted to mention, guys, is Robert is a absolute professional at what he does when it comes to mortgages and refinances and everything finance related in that department. And working with Robert for the last, what, 6, 8 months at this point in time, he's proven that, he is an awesome individual as a human being and great at what he does. So, guys, Robert is officially one of our affiliates inside of the Rental Property Pro coaching program, meaning he does a lot of DSCR financing, a lot of home purchase financing. So please make sure that you're giving him a buzz and having a conversation. And Robert, I'll give you the floor for a second if you have anything you want to talk about there. I just want you to have the opportunity to be able to kind of pitch yourself if you have anything.
Good. I wasn't ready for that, but no, I appreciate that and the kind words, John. You and RPP, everybody's been great to work with as well, and I've learned so much. Um, yeah, I mean, the mortgage side, I can do anything.
Yep.
It's crazy. There's not a loan, honestly, that I can't do. With my new branch where I'm at, we're one of the largest brokers in the country. They average 400 to 500 million loans funding every month. Uh,
Whew, that's crazy.
so it's huge. I'm submitting three DSCR loans today, and just busy, So
Yep.
there's really not a loan that I can't do. And I approach everything as a fiduciary. So I work for you and my clients, and I tell people to
Yep.
get other quotes, and or let's just talk about what you got going on, and if I can help or put you in a better position, then great. And if not, I'll tell you if you got a better deal. Or I had a conversation with today somebody, and I'm doing two loans for them, and he's like, I'm advising him what to do, and then someone else is telling him something else to do. I'm like, look, man, I'm just going to tell you what my professional stance is. You take it and make it what fits for you.
Yep.
And he's like, I think I'm going to go with what you're doing. I feel like it's more a better situation. You've been more candid and honest with me. So love to help anybody here, in that regard. And I appreciate John making me a preferred lender. And
Yeah,
I
absolutely,
can
man.
do all loans. So there's really nothing that I can't do. So John, I
Yeah.
think you need to talk some more about some stuff you got going on.
I know, we really do. And guys, like, you can't overstate the fact of working with someone in a professional capacity that is also an investor, right? Like, if let's say you work with a real estate agent who's just been a real estate agent for 20 years versus you're working with a real estate agent who also owns, 10 or 20 rental properties, right? That experience is going to be so much significantly better because they know what you're looking for. They know what you're trying to accomplish, right? And same with Robert is the fact that he knows the game, right? We buy low, we refinance high, we try to get all our cash out. We need DSCR financing, right? Like, he understands the game. So that conversation is way easier with him than it is with a normal lender or anyone else in the field, man. So love having you on board. Last question for you is what have you done or, do you have any plans of celebrating the success, taking Taking the fam on a vacation, doing anything fun to celebrate the success?
Are we talking about celebrating, John?
Yeah, I know. I know. I'm
Man,
the worst at that. So don't
let's
don't
start to
follow me.
celebrate, man. Job's not finished.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
It's Mamba mentality all day over here. And my goal is to, double my annual income so I can have true financial freedom for my family. And I'm not there yet. So I ain't celebrating yet, and job's not finished.
Oh man, I was literally having a conversation with one of my really close friends yesterday, and she is an absolute hammer. She's 30 years old. She owns over 100 units already,
Oh, wow.
and I'm having a conversation with her, and she's like, I'm like, you need to like take a step back. 'Cause she's just been grinding like 80 hours. I'm like, you need to take a step back and celebrate. And she's like, I know. And she said the same thing as you. She's like, the job's not done yet. I'm like, we all need to enjoy the process, guys. We all need to enjoy the process. The journey is the thing where we need to pay attention and focus. But awesome, man. Again, congratulations on your success. Let's figure
Thank
out what we want to do with these three properties, and let's move this process forward. But again, thanks, man, for your time. Awesome work. Congratulations, and guys, hopefully you got something from Robert today. At bare minimum, reach out to him if you guys need any mortgage needs. He's an absolute rock star at that, and he should be an inspiration to all of you guys on starting and growing your portfolio because he's living proof that it works, man. Awesome, dude. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yes. Thanks for having me, John. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, but I'll talk to you later.